rightly concerned, but I do believe that the American people don't want to live in Trumpistan.
Yeah.
They want to continue living in America. And this is a fundamental question in 2018. This is the most important midterm election in American history, because if this is not repudiated in November, this country's going down a track of not just decline, but a fundamental change that will be very, very difficult to change the trajectory that we're on.
Steve Schmidt, it's great to have you here. Thank you very much.
It's the most frightening time of the year. All right, I'm exhausted, but Election Day is approaching, so I'm going to quickly go over the propositions in California, and then I'm going to jump into what races nationwide are important and could use your funding. So you can skip to it by going here. I'll figure the timing out, and you can click on it. Most important that you vote, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. I'm liberal, so this is easy. Just vote opposite of me if you are a Republican. All right, first, the California propositions. They're kind of difficult to figure out because they've gotten very good at hiding who's funding them. They're usually funded by something like Americans for Americaning, something like that. So Prop 1, housing for veterans and low-income people, yes. Prop 2, housing for the mentally ill, yes, but it doesn't require treatment, which is going to be a problem. I wish they would have included that, but hopefully that can be fixed later. We need a start in that direction to house the mentally ill, because it's a huge problem in the San Francisco Bay Area and LA, where I am now. Prop 3, it funds water projects, dams, and waterways. And yes, it's going to make a few people really rich, but we kind of don't have a choice considering the state they're in right now. There's stuff they're building. They're actually building holding tanks to hold drinking water for different cities. But considering last rainy season, we had some dams actually break. It's good to vote yes on this. So yes on Prop 3. Prop 4, children's hospitals. No. Why? Because the healthcare industry... These are private hospitals. They don't say that. But the healthcare industry obviously does not need our help. They're making money hand over foot. So it's to raise it. Basically, they don't need the money. And now I have to vote against children's hospitals. But that's part of the plan. They made it sound like we're helping them kids, which we ain't. Prop 5, lowers fees and tax for homeowners over 55 transferring property. No, this comes straight out of the schools. The taxes on houses are so low in California to begin with, which is why our schools are at near the bottom of this country. And as much as I hate taxes as much as you do, I don't think this is the right way to do it. It comes straight out of the schools. Number 6, Prop 6, repeals a gas tax that helps fund roads and maintenance. And it's basically a flat tax, which is crap, but the backers of this proposition are a not so great mix of folks. So no on Prop 6. Prop 7 allows California to ditch daylight savings with a 2/3 vote of legislature. Yes, why not? Let's try it. And we still have to get 2/3 of the California legislature to clear it. So I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon, but I, for one, could do without the time change thing. It's kind of obnoxious. Prop 8, regulating dialysis clinics. Yes. Look up the episode of John Oliver where he talks about this. I'll see if I can find a link. Prop 9 is off the ballot. The state Supreme Court said it wouldn't go for it. It was basically originally to split this state into 3 voting blocks, which they tried before. It turned out it was bankrolled by Russia, and the guy who was the face of that proposition now lives in Moscow. I think that's all you need to know. Prop 10. This is to repeal the Costa-Hawkins law, allowing rent control on pretty much any rentable structure, but it's handled by the individual towns or counties. I see this from both sides. I think something has to be done because rent is out of control, but it's been kicked down the road by the state legislature and a lot of these cities that are basically did not plan very well for a lot of the popularity of certain cities. And for instance, in Los Angeles, in the Bay Area, the homeless population has gone bonkers because it's pushing a lot of people out, and those that can afford to leave do. So we've got this weird mix in certain areas of super poor and super rich, and the middle class is just getting wiped out. Here's the thing, though. It's going to make it's going to put individual homes under rent control, and those are usually owned by private individuals. So I think we're going to see a lot of houses go on the market, people trying to get out of being a landlord, and that's the real downside. But again, this law allows the cities to take over and allows them to do it individually. So nothing's going to happen should this pass right away. But my guess is you're going to see a lot of rent increases very soon on the chance that this will pass. Meanwhile, some of the bigger companies that own things like business fronts or apartment complexes are going to raise the rent to a crazy amount, leave them vacant, and then take the deduction come tax time to make it even out. So they'll sit there with them empty, which, by the way, this doesn't do anything to alleviate investment property. Places like London and San Francisco are turning into vacant apartment land where people just use that to hide money. Some of it from Russia. Prop 11 requires private ambulance companies to remain on call during breaks. I don't quite understand this one, so I actually don't know. I'm going to say no at this juncture unless somebody can tell me something different. And in fact, leave a comment if I get this wrong. But something feels wrong about this. And as much researching as I did, I was not able to pinpoint who's backing what in this. So any help would be appreciated. Prop 12, better conditions for farm animals. Yes. Again, the people want to frame it as it's going to hurt the farmers, but considering there are very few farmers anymore, it's mostly giant corporations. And those giant corporations are the ones stuffing animals into very small living conditions and not treating them well, as you've seen from many an undercover video. So that's all the propositions. On to the national races. Again, it's not too late to donate to them. You can donate to the last minute because the last minute push is really going to help these people. Now, a lot of Democrats sat out the 2010 election, and that screwed us so badly because of gerrymandering, where you can basically, because it's a census year, you can rearrange the voting map. So right now, in a lot of areas, Democrats have to turn out somewhere in the neighborhood of between 10 and 20% more voters just to break even with Republicans. So this blue wave thing has actually got to happen. And the other thing I'll say is this last election in 2016 showed us that sitting back and letting somebody else take care of this is not going to work. You've got to put your money where your mouth is because we're in trouble. I had a visit this summer to Manzanar, the Japanese internment camp in California, where they, during World War II, just picked up Japanese families and threw them in the camp for 3 to 4 years. And I was pretty overcome with the feeling of shame as to what this country did, and wondered if I had the chance to do something about this, would I? There are currently 13,000 to 14,000 immigrant children without their parents living in tent cities. I don't know why we want them. I don't know why we're keeping them. I can only guess to give kickbacks to private prison companies. And just the other day, we moved $80 million from research for HIV/AIDS, Head Start, and the National Cancer Institute to house these children that we shouldn't have anyways. I look back on Manzanar and think, I'm sure there's a lot of people who wish they could have done something. Now is your chance to do something. Donate to the ACLU. They've done amazing work so far. Southern Poverty Law Center. And again, donate to these candidates I'm about to go over. This is what's going to make the difference. I'm going to put these all down below on the description so you don't need to memorize these. So, number 1, Andrew Jans against Nunes. This is a congressional one in California. Nunes is basically a Russian operative. I don't know what they got on him, but this mother Russian needs to go. I've also put a link to a Vox article that talked about a couple other congressional districts that could really use your help in California. So, Tammy Duckworth in Wisconsin, Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, Claire McCaskill in Missouri, Jackie Rosen in Nevada, Phil Bresden in Tennessee, Bill Nelson in Florida, Kristen Sinema in Arizona, Beto O'Rourke in Texas. He is fighting against Ted Cruz, one of the most repellent human beings on the face of the earth. And boy, wouldn't it be great to get rid of him. Montana, John Tester. Indiana, Joe Donnelly. West Virginia, Joe Manchin. Now, at any battleground state, you should consider your vote in danger. They are currently, right now, clearing the rolls of anybody if they haven't voted in a while, or if there's any discrepancy with your name, maybe you didn't have a middle initial or something like that. Go to your Secretary of State's website or your County Board of Elections website and check if you're registered. Make sure you know where you're voting and get there early, because the lines are going to be insane on purpose. This has been going on for quite some time. And again, the Democrats didn't do anything about this either, so let's not get high and mighty about this. If you can, don't absentee vote. And if you have to, check on your vote, because that is where they really go after people. If your signature doesn't match exactly, they can contest it. The number one way Chris Kobach, the voting czar under Trump, got rid of a lot of voters in Kansas was to go through mail-in ballots and say that their signatures didn't match. And I think a lot of people assume that their vote counted. So if you can, go in and vote. But most importantly, vote, donate. If you would like this country to go a certain direction, you must get behind it. I think we've learned from the last election that sitting back and doing nothing is not the way to go. You have to do something. Thanks.
And here we are repeating it again. And the moral shame that comes from internment camps, and that's precisely what they are for toddlers and children who are stripped away, some of those children stripped away from breastfeeding mothers. It is a shame that will linger, a stench that will linger around this vile administration, and in my view, for a century.